Alrighty, let me tell you something rather exciting. If you've been following my journey, then you know I like to try things. I practice things, new methods, ideas. And after a while, if I figure they work for me, then I tell you about them. Well, that's exactly what I'm going to do now. I'm going to drop a link below for something called Soma breath. If you haven't heard of this, you will, because it is gaining momentum, you might say. And what's lovely about this is that there are some quite high profile figures backing it. Indeed, Wim Hof himself is one of those, along with Ben Greenfield and various other folk. This is a method that if you are doing the Wim Hof method, the Wim Hof practice, you will see some enhancements. You will also see a whole host of other benefits that are quite exciting. Now, you lot know, if you follow my journey, that I'm not one for promoting things unless I've given them a good blooming go and I see a huge value in them. You know, the whole purpose of this evolutionary journey is for me to try methods, try practices. When I figure out that they work for me, then I pass them on to you lot. And indeed, if they don't work, I pass them on. But I'll let you know that they don't work for me. We are all different, as you know. We are physiologically different. We look different. We have different priorities in life. We work in different environments, etc. So sometimes stuff that works for me doesn't always work for everybody else. But the following practice, I'm pretty confident, will have at least some benefits for everybody and huge benefits for many. So let me start at the beginning. I could have trained to be a Wim Hof instructor. At the time I decided against it, and I think my reasoning behind that was simply because I had gathered enough information already about the Wim Hof method that I didn't see a need at that time to do the instructor course. I didn't have an interest in instructing others. I was doing it for my benefit. And then as soon as I saw the benefits to doing the Wim Hof method, I wanted to tell other people about it via my YouTube channel, and that was it. Now, the Soma breath is something a little bit different. And as soon as I heard about it and started practicing it, I wanted to become an instructor, because I do see this as a catalyst to other things that I can offer others. And in fact, the more I do it, the more I realize it's even more than that. If you are a proponent of breathwork practices, you know as well as I do that breath is everything. And the more you start to control it and get a feel for it and get a better understanding of it, the more your life will improve immeasurably, both physiologically as well as psychologically. For those that don't practice breathwork techniques, it might seem a little bit silly. You'll be thinking, well, hang on a second, I breathe throughout the day. It's a natural act. Why would I need to do further practices? Why would I need to try different methods? Well, let me tell you the reason why. Many people, I'm one, have suffered stress, anxiety, even bouts of depression. This is like a plague, and it is getting worse. And I would say probably at least half of you watching this video have either suffered or are suffering right now from anxiety, stress, depression, etc., etc. Plus a whole host of other autoimmune diseases or chronic diseases. What I've certainly learnt is that as soon as you start to control and figure out how to practice various breathwork techniques, the sooner you will get a better handle on your psychology, the sooner you'll be able to reduce anxiety, stress, the sooner you will also be able to reduce any inflammation in the body and a whole host of other potential issues that you might have physiologically. So for me, I know breathwork is king. It is the key to all. It is the key to health. And the Soma breath practice is very much derived from pranayama, ancient Indian techniques. And even the Wim Hof method, as you know, derives from Tibetan techniques, Tumo, as well as pranayama. Yes, they are rehashes of old traditional techniques, but that's a good thing. You know, I remember when I started doing Wim Hof videos, some people commented on my videos saying, but that is just a pranayamic technique, you know, it's just a Tumo technique. This has been around for centuries. Well, and so, you know, if people don't know about it, how are they going to know, you know, how are they going to be able to practice it and learn it? Who cares where it's come from? Soma, what's really interesting for me is that in a way, if you've seen some of my other videos on the Wim Hof method, you'll know that I described some of the highs that you get as very similar to the kind of highs that I experienced when I was a young bloke, trying all the various different pharmaceuticals that you can have for having fun, going to raves, going to dances, etc., back in the 90s. And I described some of the highs that you get initially when you do the Wim Hof method is very similar. What's great about the Soma breath is that this enhances that further. You know, I'm 2 years into doing Wim Hof method, so I'm pretty well practiced, but even I am getting some really interesting effects. And that is in part because the Soma breathwork practice is done whilst listening to music. And one of the things that this practice does is have you breathing to a rhythm, breathing in beats, quite often to a 4/4 rhythm. And of course, if you are somebody that still goes out to raves and listens to house music or trance music, then you'll know that much of it is done to a 4/4 rhythm. And that's what you're going to be doing with this breath work. You're going to be breathing to that rhythm. And there are benefits to this, even just doing that alone, breathing to a rhythm. But when you breathe to uplifting music, energizing music, it is quite an incredible experience. Those that do suffer stress and anxiety, you might have started to look at your heart rate variability. And this breathing pattern, this breathing method, by the way, absolutely improves your heart coherence. You start to create a balance in your life to do with your heart rate variability. So those that do suffer depression, anxiety, this is a brilliant method for you. I thought I knew a lot about breath work, but I've already doubled my knowledge since doing the Soma breath practice. So in essence, here's some very good reasons why you might want to consider looking into this Soma thing. So if you are on a bit of a personal development journey, this is a very good thing to add to your list of practices. But the great thing about this, and one of the reasons why I like it so much, is that it combines a number of different methods that you might well have been looking at, and I have, in the past. So let's say you have already looked at neuro-linguistic programming. You might be qualified like I am. That's good, because actually part of this Soma breathwork training involves neuro-linguistic programming, specifically meta-programming. Now let's say that you are also somebody that has looked at various breathwork practices, including, as I said before, the Wim Hof method. Well, good. That is a very good reason to do this, because it enhances your Wim Hof practice. So it's actually really good, actually, if you've gotten a bit bored of your Wim Hof method practice. This will shake it up, this will mix it up, and as I say, greatly enhance it. But let's just say you're somebody that's also been looking at ways to change their psychology naturally. I guess one of the biggest problems that we have in today's society is the reliance that many people have on pharmaceuticals. Now, Soma breath, a bit like Wim Hof, but even more so, really does tap into your inner pharmacy. You will inevitably start to charge your body with neurochemicals. And those neurochemicals will do a number of things. You know, if they're the dopamine and the serotonin types, then they will greatly enhance your mood. And in fact, it is suggested, though we are early on in the science behind that, this Soma breathwork practice could start to activate some dormant stem cells. Like I say, there's not a huge amount of research here, so take what I say with a pinch of salt. It is suggested that in the womb, stem cells are vibrant and activated because of the low oxygen environment. So actually, when you practice the Wim Hof method and the Soma breathwork, you are creating a hypoxic environment. And when you combine various other practices such as working the Mula Bandha, those that do practice yoga will know what that is, along with the practices of hypoxic training, then there is a possibility that you might well be activating stem cells too. So as I say, there are lots of reasons to investigate this Soma breathwork practice. I've given you a few there. I am adamant that this will be the catalyst to further improvements in my physical health, further improvements into my mental health, and I am 100% certain that whomever tries this, they will see some positive changes. Especially if you start to combine them with all the other stuff that I do, you could make 2020 a rather new, exciting, vibrant journey full of opportunity. My usual ramble, over and done with. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.